Say goodbye to modern Star Trek and DC? Well, that could be what's on the way from Warner Brothers as Paramount takes over. James Gunn not in a very important meeting with the Ellisons. They're the new bosses after all. And Kurtzman, no contract signed yet for this year? Oh dear. Ladies and gentlemen, a sea change could be on the way for the entertainment industry. Yes, it's two franchises that many people feel have been at the bottom of the barrel, even worse than Star Wars. And now, a new war could be soon forthcoming as Paramount leaves little doubt they're unhappy with James Gunn and Kurtzman. We'll talk about it. Click the like button, and off we go. Star Trek and DC are in doubt right now. What are we talking about? Well, folks, take a look at this. We've got it out of Trek Movie exclusive. Alex Kurtzman on starting discussions with Paramount Skydance over the future of Star Trek. That really should not be the headline. And the reason it should not be the headline is because there's something in here that's far more important. It turns out Kurtzman has no contract after this year, and there's nothing to suggest that he's going to get one. Here's what we've got, folks. If we look in here, it says, when asked what Skydance wants for Trek TV, Kurtzman noted things are very complicated right now. Oh, really? Quote, what I can tell you honestly is that it's not just what Skydance wants with Star Trek TV. Skydance also just bought Warner Brothers. And so you have an unbelievable amount, like it's almost inconceivable amount of organizational things to decide, right? It's not just drinking from one fire hose. There's probably 10,000 hoses. And so everything is just happening slower as a result of this massive time of transition. That's not exclusive to Star Trek. Oh no, that's across the board. And at the same time, they're moving as quickly as they can and should because they want to be thoughtful and methodical. Okay. Does he have a contract, though? Even given the complexity of the current state of Paramount, Kurtzman was able to confirm the sense of the nature of the talks, which is that they're talking about shows. Okay. Talks about Starfleet Academy, season 2, talk about they're going to do some shorts. Wait a minute. Well, folks, if you look right here, making it even more of an inflection point for Star Trek, 2026. Now, I don't know if you all have heard this. I have heard rumor that's this year. 2026 also happens to be when Alex Kurtzman's contract with CBS Studios and Paramount is up. Oh, now, at what point in 2026 would it be up? Well, I don't know. But folks, I can tell you, there's about 9 months left out of the year, and so we can roll the dice and pick one of those would be the end of his contract. It's not probably December. It's probably some other month. So we're talking about a guy who has less than a year on his contract, and he has no additional agreement. None. It says back in January, Kurtzman said he would begin discussions to talk about his future and the future of Trek TV once he finished directing the season 2 finale of Starfleet Academy. And so that's the context for this quote that he gave you that says, well, they're moving slow and they got a lot of things to do. This is a guy who's on a timeline here, folks. He doesn't have a lot of time left. Culture, given Starfleet Academy's failure, if I'm Paramount, I don't know why I would want to keep him around.
Yeah, there's no good argument. There's no business argument to be made. The franchise would benefit from a massive deviation from his direction and even that of J.J. Abrams. I'm convinced that smarter people will decide that this is not worth a renewal. He can go on and peddle something else elsewhere. Maybe Netflix will buy it. But it would be beneficial to rest Star Trek for, as long as it takes to produce something new and cinematic. I think it's been proven, especially on Paramount Minus, that things aren't going well for Star Trek. And I think they really do need to clean it all up from top to bottom. And that requires new leadership, new replacements.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it looks like it's not just Trek that's having this. GeeksandGamers.com, Marvin Montanaro reporting James Gunn skips first Warner Brothers staff meeting with David Ellison as questions about his DC future loom. Now, you might say, well, maybe he had a cold, maybe something's going on, but just follow along, folks. A reported meeting between David Ellison and key Warner Brothers studio executives is drawing attention for one major reason. James Gunn wasn't there, and the timing couldn't be worse. The absence comes as rumors continue circulating across entertainment media about whether Gunn will remain as DC Studios long-term, especially if David Ellison ultimately becomes the new power center inside Warner Brothers Discovery. It says, according to industry coverage from Deadline, Ellison recently held a meeting with roughly 150 Warner Brothers Discovery staff members as discussions about the studio's direction continue. The meetings reportedly included several key figures inside the company, including Peter Safran, Mike DeLuca, Pam Abdi. Safran attended and represented DC Studios, but Gunn, the creative architect of the new DC cinematic universe, did not. That immediately stood out because DC was reportedly discussed more than once during the meeting. One insider told Deadline that Ellison specifically highlighted the importance of the comic book brand during the discussion about Warner Brothers Discovery's future strategy. Nat, when we're looking at this, we've got two major franchises that have been under serious criticism from fans. Folks have said, well, those fans are a minority. I don't believe that's true. I think fans have a real issue that needs to be heard when it comes to DC and especially Star Trek. And now it's beginning to appear like the leaders of those two franchises are out in the dark when it comes to Paramount and the new boss is taking over Warner Brothers. Nat, is this a good sign, or do you think this is just all coincidental? And I don't know, maybe they're going to get renewed. Maybe Starfleet Academy gets season 3, 4, 5, 6. Who knows? Do you think this is all starting to change and shift under Paramount?
I mean, I don't know. I hope so, but I don't know. But at the same time, Paramount has these two huge potentials that they could do so much with, and that especially because the fans have been so disappointed, maybe a lot of them have given up, but there's still some that hold out hope for a better iteration of these things. So maybe it could be a good idea for Paramount and for Ellison to say, well, we have these two great IPs that we could take advantage of, and they've been completely doomed by the people that were in charge of them. But at the same time, if they were not invited, or if in this occasion they're not in the discussions, it doesn't mean they might not just continue down the path of doing all the wrong decisions. But we'll see. I mean, I do hold out hope for a lot more IPs that are being taken over by maybe people with a bit more brain in their heads, but who knows?
Who knows? One thing's for sure, James Gunn trying to ease this a little bit, releasing on basically the same day a picture of him working on Man of Tomorrow. Yes, that production's about to get underway. I don't know that it explains things because, hey, James Gunn, there's the thing called airplanes. Don't know if you've heard of them, but people can move pretty quickly from meeting to meeting, or you can be brought in remotely if needed. So I don't think that relations are great between James Gunn and Paramount. Not sure about that. But Kara, one thing I have no doubt about is the state of the comic book industry and what they've done to our heroes. And it's opened the door to places like Rippaverse and Big Man Comics. You've got people creating new stuff now in the absence of DC and Marvel and what used to be people's favorite things to read about, the Wolverines, the Cyclops, the Superman, the Batmans. Now those things have been thrown down and they were sacrificed for woke. People seem to be turning to other stuff. And I think Paramount would be wise to revert those decisions and go back to what worked for decades and decades before. What say you?
I agree. I think that the entertainment industry has just lost its way on what actually matters to the viewer and what we want. We want entertainment. We need a break from what is actually going on around us. And so much nowadays in comic books and movies, everything has to have just a very biased message, or at least a very aggressive message as to what you should be caring about. And I think with a lot of older comic books and such, there was that original that overarch that everybody could relate to. Everybody had that patriotic value, or at least the value of taking care of your friends and your family, helping those who need it. And I think with the content nowadays that they've been pushing, it's just really left a sour taste. And I think that more of the indie comic books nowadays do have that opportunity to kind of swoop in and hopefully bring something either new or try to at least uphold the same values that got them into comic books in the first place.
Absolutely. Jonas, when you look at these two franchises, Star Trek and DC, which one's easier to revive at this point? Because DC, there's a difficulty in doing anything with it because you'd have to start over again. But there's also a terror, I think, that people have. Superman didn't perform well. Supergirl may perform worse. Star Trek, on the other hand, I don't see how it can get worse. I don't know how Star Trek can go lower. So, but I don't know which one is easier to fix first. What do you say, Jonas? Which one would you go with?
If I had to choose between the two, I think Star Trek has the easier time because DC is an entire studio. Unfortunately, the entire superhero industry, this is the second most viable property within the superhero genre. And so there's a lot more pressure on DC Studios. And you need there's way too many hands in the pot. Star Trek can be very profitable when done correctly, but also the blueprint is very straightforward. Good science fiction. There's still so much that can be done. You can even retell old Star Trek stories in a more modern, but not that modern, but in a more modern form. With Star Trek, that is something that you don't even have to do great, and people will come back and watch it. There are people who have been lifelong Trek fans that are all over the industry that can come and step into that role. With DC Studios, this will be DC reboot number, I don't know what we're on at this point, but that is something that is going to take forever to change direction on. Again, there's going to be 3 or 4 movies that even if James Gunn was fired today, which I don't think he's going to be fired today, it would be several years before all of his movies still came out. If they said today, okay, let's say Terry Matalas, we're going to give you Star Trek Legacy. I know that's a slightly controversial opinion with Star Trek fans, whether that should happen. He could, within 2 years, have a show with 10 to 20 episodes that could be good Star Trek, or even just some mediocre Star Trek. I would kill for some mediocre Star Trek right now. This is something where I think Star Trek is the easier one to fix and has a rabid fan base that would love to come back to the idea of the original Star Trek.
Well, there's a lot of decisions to be made at Paramount. They've got 2 franchises in need of fixing. What will they do, and can they do it fast? We'll find out, but don't buy into the idea that James Gunn is going to exit his contract voluntarily, folks. He's got a lot of money to be made, and he's got a movie to make, so both he and Kurtzman are on very short leashes. Will they get any more runway after their contracts end? That is the question. Folks, it's time to bid you adieu, but we hope that you will help us anew, and that is, we're only asking you click that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, have you gone the way of thatparkplace.com? www.thatparkplace.com. It's the website that if you're not yet bookmarked to, well, you should be. A bastion of truth and knowledge when it comes to entertainment and everything that's going on. Go check it out today, folks. We would love to have you over there as well. All right, we are getting ready to head out, but do not fret, for we will put out 4 more videos tomorrow, so long as the good Lord allows. And we believe that probably, just might, happen. All right, until the next time we get to share time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.